everyone, welcome back to my channel, and today we're going to discuss a lot of books that are coming out in 2025. I'm always really excited for new releases, and especially this year I feel that the publications that are going to happen in 2025 are just amazing. There are so many great books that I love to talk to you guys about. And today we're going to discuss at least 14 books that are coming out from January until June. And for the upcoming 6 months, I have for each month a couple of books that are coming out that I'm just really excited to share with you guys. Obviously I have a couple of very popular books as well that are being mentioned by almost everyone here on booktube. But I also feel that I have a couple of books on my radar that might not be that popular or that hyped. Hopefully I'll be able to get those books on your radar as well by making this video and talk about those books. So yeah, if you're new here, hi, my name is Juliette. I talk about books and each Saturday I upload some bookish content video for you guys. So if you like that type of content, you can always hit the subscribe button. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed, of course, because it would really help me out. Yeah, I have a couple of books for each month for the upcoming 6 months, for the first half of the year, and I'm just really excited about those books and I can't wait to talk to you guys about them. And I have mostly fantasy and romantasy on this list. I have one murder mystery, a graphic novel, a contemporary romance, but that kind of is everything. Everything else is either going to be a romantasy or a fantasy book. It's just the genre I gravitate towards the most, and yeah, I look forward to most of those books that are coming out. I really feel that the new releases this year are a lot more exciting than the ones in last year, 2024. So yeah, further ado, let's get into those books. I'm getting my laptop over here so I can read the synopsises to you guys. I'll show the picture on screen and we can talk about these books that are being released. And the first one we are going to talk about is obviously the month January. And the first book is a book that actually came out last week on the 7th of January. And that's the Starlight Heir by Amilia Howard. And to be quite honest, this book really has my attention because of the cover. Because look at the colors, look how beautiful this cover is. It's so extremely pretty. It's one of the reasons why I would love to pick this one up. I, however, haven't pre-ordered it. I haven't bought it either yet. I am going to keep my eye on this one. I just really want to know how this is doing. Right now on Goodreads it has rated 3.67, so I think it's quite high. Not that high, but it's like an average rating, I feel. And I'm just really curious to see how this book is going to do, and I might pick it up during the year. But this is a book that said: a bladesmith blessed by the stars, a prince with a dangerous secret, a god bound in shadows. When the gold-dusted court invitation arrives at Soraya Saab's forge, she believes it's a joke. Nobles might seek her skills as a bladesmith, but she has no qualifications as a potential bride for the crown. Still, the invitation is a chance at adventure and the means to finally visit the capital city her late mother loved. But what awaits her in Caldari is nothing she could have imagined, and fraught with danger. It's not the crown prince, but his impossibly handsome half-brother Roshan, who captures her interest and her ire. The invitation isn't a quest to find a suitable bride, but a veiled hunt for the Starkeeper, a girl rumored to hold the magic of the stars in her blood. And across the city, unrest is brewing between the noble houses and the rebel militia. I don't know, the cover really got my attention and it just sounds really good, I think. I really like the idea of a little bit of this contents trying to find the suitable bride for the crown prince, but at the same time it being a scheme to try to hunt down a certain girl who has magical power, because obviously the crown wants that power. So yeah, it sounds really good. I think the cover is amazing. It's a romantasy book, and yeah, I'm really excited for this one. The second book that is being released on the 14th of January is Lightfall by Ed Crocker, and this is going to be the first one in the Everlands trilogy. To be quite honest, as soon as I read an epic fantasy of vampires, werewolves and sorcerers, I was sold. I didn't really read that much further than that because I really enjoy books about vampires. So and I feel that they're kind of coming back. I don't know how to say it. I feel there are a lot more books being published with vampires as one of the main themes in the stories. And it just sounds really good. And it's actually described as a genre, a fantasy vampire horror. So that just sounds really good to me. And I love vampires. The idea of it being not a romance story, but a little bit of a horror story as well, just sounds really good. I really like the cover. I love the little castle or something that is being shown. It kind of reminds me a little bit of Mont Saint Michel. which is a city in France. But yeah, I really love the way this cover is looking. For centuries, vampires freely roamed the land until the Greys came out of nowhere, wiping out half the population in a night. The survivors fled to the last vampire city of First Light, where the rules are simple. If you're poor, you drink weak blood. If you're nobility, you get the good stuff. And you can never ever leave. I don't know about you guys, but this story really sounds interesting. And I kind of like the idea of politics being included here as well, and I really hope that the horror really comes through to the story, especially since it is also mentioned as a genre in this book, for this book as well. So yeah, I think it sounds really interesting. I am going to put like all the Goodreads links in the description box down below, so you can kind of like check them out for yourself. And I also want to mention that I'm not going to pre-order all these books. Like a couple of them I might actually pre-order, especially the ones that are part of the series that I'm currently reading, because I really want to continue those series. So yeah, I'm definitely going to pre-order those. But most of these books, like the Starlight, Heir, and also this one, these are like books that I'm going to keep my eye on and kind of like see how they are doing, and I might pick them up very soon or somewhere during the year, because I don't know, but this book kind of like sounds perfect for an autumn read, especially around Halloween. So yeah, it sounds really good, and I'm really hoping that this does really well. And then obviously one of the probably I think is going to be the main popular book that is coming out this year is Onyx Storm, like the third book from the Fourth Wing series. And yeah, I have Fourth Wing and Iron Flame over here. I love Fourth Wing. Iron Flame I enjoyed, but I enjoyed less than Fourth Wing. And of course I really want to know where this series is going and how the story is going to continue, so I can't wait for Onyx Storm. And I'm not going to mention what Onyx Storm is about, because, well, I feel that if I read the synopsis it might spoil Fourth Wing or Iron Flame for you. So I'm only going to mention, like, Iron Flame is a book about a girl, Violet. And this girl, she has to join the dragon school to learn how to become a dragon rider, and this is a very dangerous occupation. It's an occupation that her mother really wants her to do because she's a dragon rider as well, and that kind of like runs in the family. And Violet doesn't really want to do this at the beginning because she is very small, she's not that big, and she's absolutely not strong. And this school is super dangerous because obviously there are dragons there. And well, not everyone survives, because if the dragons don't like you, they hate you, or they think you're weak, they actually burn you or eat you or kill you. So yeah, it's a very dangerous school. Violet attends the school, and well, when she's there, she tries to become this dragon rider. She's actually able to bond with dragons as well, and there is this romance lingering in the background that kind of like is in the beginning a little bit more in the background, but especially in Iron Flame I feel that the romance story became a lot more in the forefront of the storyline, which I personally did not enjoy as much, because I love everything about Fourth Wing and everything about Iron Flame except for the romance. I don't really like the romance story. I don't really care that much for the main characters, and I don't like the way the romance is written. But further than that, I think the story is amazing, and I love the dangerousness that comes when being a dragon rider, and I really enjoy the dragons as well because they have their own personality, they can talk. So yeah, for me that's just like the perfect combination, and I can't wait to see where this story is going. I loved reading both of the first two books, and I can't wait to have Onyx Storm on my hands. I haven't pre-ordered this one because I kind of want to get it out of the bookstore on the day it's being released. But for now I'm not entirely sure if I'll make it, so I might pre-order it. I'm going to decide this week if I'm going to pre-order it or if I'm going to pick it up out of the bookstore as soon as it's being released in Dutch as well. So yeah, can't wait for this one. It's like the last book that I'm really excited about. It's being published in January, and it's going to be published on the 21st of January. Now we come to February, the month of love. And obviously I have two books I'm really excited about for February. And the first one is going to be the sequel to the Emily Wilde's trilogy. I read the first one, Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies, and also the sequel, Map of the Other Lands. And Emily Wilde's Compendium of Lost Tales is actually going to be published on the 11th of February. And I can't wait to read the conclusion of this trilogy. I really loved the first one, I enjoyed the sequel, and I can't wait to see how the story is going to be concluded in the last book. But this is really a story about a scholar, Emily, and she is a scholar in fairies. Like, she learns everything about fairies, she teaches about fairies as well at the university. And in the first book she travels to a very northern country where she's trying to learn more about a certain type of fairies and elves who live there. And she writes about them in her diary, and that also gets published. When she actually is there trying to do her research, one of her rival scholars is actually joining her. And at the beginning she doesn't really like him, she doesn't want him to join her. They slowly become friends, and that kind of like develops into a little bit more, especially in the sequel, in the second book. And something that I really enjoyed is the way the fairies are written in this book. They are not that beautiful or amazing and strong, but they're very dangerous and very brutal. Well, they really are out there to get the humans and kind of like try to get them in a very dangerous and hurtful way. And that was something that I really enjoyed. I really gave a lot of suspense to the story, especially in the first book, but also in the sequel. And I really loved how the story continued, how a journey of doing the research about the fairies continued as well in the sequel, where she actually travels to a different country to learn a little bit more about fairy doors. And when she actually travels to that country, she also is being tagged along by her niece and on one of her other colleagues as well. And that just, I don't know, the group of people that was like assembled, especially in the sequel, was so amazing, very heartwarming. And I love the idea of them being a little bit of a found family. They didn't really get along at the beginning, and they slowly got to know each other a little bit better, and that was something that I really enjoyed. And I really can't wait to see how the third book is going to go, and I'm just really excited for this one. I did however pre-order this one, so I really hope to get this book as soon as it's being released, and hopefully I'll get to it as well on the day it's being released. Then another one that I'm actually really excited for, and I am not entirely sure yet, because I don't know how about you guys, I don't know how it is in other countries, but the prices of pre-orders, even in English, are a little bit higher this year, I feel, than it was normally. Because normally in the Netherlands, Dutch books are very expensive to pre-order, and they're always really expensive, especially compared to English written books. But I kind of feel that this year the pre-orders as well are a lot more expensive than they usually are. So they're like 25, 26 euros something for a hardback, which normally it was like 15 or 16 euros when you pre-ordered books. I also know that I'm a little bit late. Normally I pre-ordered like books like 6 months in advance, and now I am a little bit close to the release date. So normally the prices also go up close to the release date. But this is one of the books that I am considering pre-ordering, also being published on the 11th of February, and that is The Queens of Crime by Mary Benedict. And this is actually my murder mystery and also like a historical fiction, as it is being described on Goodreads, that I'm really looking forward to. Because, like, to be honest, I'm not going to read the complete synopsis to you guys, because the only thing that I really wanted to know, and that was something that I really loved, well, made sure that I really wanted to read this book, is it is about a couple of very famous mystery writers. It says London 1930. The 5 greatest women crime writers have banded together to form a secret society with one single goal: to show they are no longer willing to be treated as second-class citizens by their male counterparts in the legendary Detection Club. Led by the formidable Dorothy L. Sayers, the group includes Agatha Christie, Nagoya Marsh, Marjorie Ellingham, and Baroness Emma Orczy. They call themselves the Queens of Crime. Their plan: solve an actual murder that a young woman found strangled in a park in France, who may have connections leading to the highest levels of British establishment. I only read this part, and that just made me really, really excited. I love Agatha Christie. Like, she's like one of my favorite authors. I read like one Agatha Christie book each month, and I am really enjoying that journey. Like, I really want to read all her work, so by reading one each month, I'm slowly completing that goal, and I just really love her work. And the idea that she's going to be one of the main characters in another murder mystery sounds just really interesting. And only this little part and the cover, I kind of like the cover as well. I really love the dresses, and that just made me really curious, and I can't wait to read this book. I think it's going to be pretty good, at least I hope so. My plan is maybe to pre-order it, or at least really try to keep an eye out on this one as soon as it's being released, so I can still pick it up very, very soon, because it just sounds something that I might actually enjoy. I'm still a little bit nervous as well, because not always books about other authors are that great in my opinion, but this might be, and this is murder mystery. It sounds just really cute and fun. Now let's get into March. And in March I actually have again 3 books that are being released that I am a little bit excited for. And the first one is actually included in the Dream Harbor series by Laurie Gilmore. I read the first book, The Pumpkin Spice Cafe. Also I read The Cinnamon Bun Bookstore. And this one I got for Christmas, The Christmas Tree Farm, and I haven't read this one yet. I actually might pick it up in February. But the 4th book in this series, The Strawberry Patch Pancake's House, is being released on the 13th of March. And to be quite honest, this is like one of the books that, even though it is part of a series that I am currently enjoying, I'm not entirely sure yet if I'll pre-order it. And one of the reasons for me has to do with the fact that I loved the first book. I loved this month so much. I read it twice. I really enjoyed it. And to be quite honest, I enjoyed the sequel. But I definitely feel that when it came to the writing, this one was a very big letdown compared to the first one. The writing was a lot more slobby, a lot more fast-paced, and I felt that the story didn't develop, especially romance, didn't develop as much as it did in the first book, and it was kind of like almost established already in the first book, so there was not a lot of tension or suspense when it came to the romance development. So I was not a big fan. I enjoyed it, don't get me wrong, but I wasn't as much of a fan as I was from the first book. However, this one sounds really interesting. Haven't read it yet, so it is going to be a little bit dependent on how I feel about the 3rd book, because if I enjoy the 3rd book a lot, I might actually pre-order and also read Strawberry Patch Pancake House as soon as it's being released. However, if I do not enjoy this one, or I might not pick up this one straight after it being released, I might pick it up like later on, trying to borrow it from the library or something. But for now, I am, however, still excited about it, because I just have high hopes for the 3rd book. Maybe the 2nd one wasn't that great, but hopefully the 3rd one is, and this might be as well. At least that's what I'm hoping, because I love the first book so much. And this is actually a book that is about, as a renowned chef, single dad Archer never planned on moving to a small town, let alone running a pancake restaurant. But Dream Harbor needs a new chef, and Archer needs a community to help raise his daughter Olive. Iris has never managed to hold down a job for more than a few months, so when Major Kelly suggests Archie is looking for a nanny and Iris might be available, she shudders at the thought, but in need of money, she reluctantly agrees. As Archie and Iris get used to their new roles, it is possible that they might have more in common than they first thought. Or is Olive just determined to play matchmaker? To be quite honest, it kind of sounds a little bit like The Parent Trap or something like those type of movies. And if I'm really honest, this one personally sounds better than the 3rd book, The Christmas Tree Farm. But at the same time, I don't know, we'll see. I might pick it up as soon as it's being released, or I might pick it up somewhere around summer or later. But it just sounds really cute and sounds fun. And each of these books I also feel you could read as a standalone, because every time they include different main characters. However, the side characters are still the same, and also the characters you got to meet in the other books. So I kind of feel you could read it as a standalone, but you'll probably have more enjoyment out of it if you read it as a series. At least that's how I feel, because that was one of the things that I really enjoyed about the 2nd book, was like the side characters, because they were the main characters from the first one, which I enjoyed so much. So I don't know how it is for the 3rd and the 4th book, but that's kind of like how I feel at the moment. Then the 2nd book that's being released is actually The Sunrise on the Reaping from Suzanne Collins. I love the Hunger Games. Like, this is a dystopian YA fantasy, and I am obsessed with the Hunger Games. Like, I was obsessed with the Hunger Games when it came out. I love those books, and I think besides Onyx Storm, this might be like one of the other very popular hype books that is being published. This is actually going to be another Hunger Games book, but then about the Hunger Games that Hamish joined. And I love Hamish, and I don't want to know anything else about this story, because I also feel that we learned a lot about the Court to Quell, which he joined in, like, I think it was Catching Fire. I kind of feel I already know a little bit about how his story is going to go, But I'm still really curious, and I love the idea of it being another Hunger Games, because I really love the Hunger Games. I love the contest. Like, I know it's gruesome, I know it's brutal, but I just really enjoy that so much about the story. So that's like one of the things that I'm really hoping to get a lot of in this one as well. And I love Haymitch, I love the Hunger Games. So for now, I am actually predicting this might be my 5-star read of the year, and might even be like one of my favorite books of the year. But we'll see. It might be a little bit too much pressure for the book to put like on this as a prediction. But I also really enjoyed the one book about President Snow, the Ballad of Snow, Songbirds and Snakes, I think it's called. I really enjoyed that one as well as so much. So I can't wait to get my hands on this. And yes, it is going to be pre-ordered. I'm a little bit in the fence because as soon as I heard it was coming out, I really want to pre-order it in English, because I have all the other books in English as well. But then they came with like the Dutch books. They're going to be released like in these special editions, that they're going to do like this release because of the sunrise on the reaping. So that kind of like made me doubt a little bit if I wanted to buy all of them again in Dutch, or if I am going to continue buying the series in English. So yeah, I'm a little bit on the fence on that. I haven't pre-ordered it because of that yet, but I am definitely going to make like my decision this week, because this week I kind of want to get all my pre-orders out. So yeah, I don't know. This one might be pre-ordered in English or in Dutch, maybe both, I'm not sure yet. Then the last book that I'm really excited for, that is being released in March on the 25th, is The Shadow Bride, and that is actually the sequel to The Scarlet Fell. And I love The Scarlet Fell so much. It's like a new story, it's a duology, but it still takes place in the same world as the Serpent and Dove trilogy, written by the same author, Shelby Mahurin. And I really love this so much. It has vampires as like the main theme of the story. It's a romance as well. And I just really love this one so much. So yeah, I'm really hyped and excited for The Scarlet Fell. I feel that The Serpent and Dove, I really enjoyed all 3 of those books enormously. So I don't know, I just have a lot of high hopes for this one. And I think it might be another favorite series for me, but that's a prediction I'm doing right now. Not entirely sure if it will actually happen. But The Scarlet Fell is actually a book about Celie, and Celie, she is also one of the side characters of the Serpent and Dove trilogy, where she is like a little bit of the little girl tagging along with everyone. She's like the little sister. She's not that little, like she's an adult, but still she's like the younger one joining the club. And in the Scarlet Fell duology, she's actually the main character, because in the Scarlet Fell, she knows she's like the youngest one of the group. She's also the one always being protected. Everyone tries to shield her from harm or dangerous things. And she kind of like wants to prove to all her friends and family that even though she might be the youngest, she is actually strong as well, and she can deal with everything on her own. And that's kind of like how she's set up in The Scarlet Fell. She's going on this journey, on this quest to prove to everyone that she is capable of joining all the adventures and doing very dangerous stuff as well. And when she actually goes on this quest, she gets kidnapped and she ends up at this vampire court as a human. So that's obviously very dangerous. And of course she also falls in love. But this love story, however, is definitely a lot more on the background, and it is very slowly developed in the first book. However, I do feel that it might be a little bit more in the forefront of the sequel. So yeah, I really enjoyed her relationship with the vampire that she fell in love with. So I can't wait to see how that's going to be developed in the sequel. So I'm really excited for that. I loved her as a main character. So yeah, it's one of the books I think I am most excited for. I'm really excited for Onyx Storm and the Sunrise Reaping, but I'm also really excited for this one. Can't wait to have my hands on it. Then we go to April. And in April I actually have one that is called The Wind Weaver, and it's written by Julie Johnson, and it's going to be the first book in the Reign of Remnants series. And this book, to be quite honest, look at the cover. Like, just look at the cover. The cover is absolutely stunning. However, the cover did remind me a little bit of the first book I mentioned in this video, like the Starlight Heir. It kind of like resembled a little bit of the same artwork, I feel. Definitely different colors, but also with looking up, but then this time it is actually a phoenix. And I don't know, it's just the cover, the colors. I really like the astronomy drawn in the background as well. It's just, well, obviously you can hear this is definitely a cover pick. I decided to pick this one out because of the cover, but also because it sounds really interesting. It is about fear of magic plagues war, torn and win. I'm definitely going to butcher these names. I'm really sorry for that. Halflings like Raya Fleetwood are killed on sight. But Raya's execution is interrupted by an unexpected savior, one far more terrifying than her would-be killers, the mysterious and mercenary Commander Skyte. In the clutches of this new enemy, Raya finds herself fighting for her life in the barren reaches of the Northlands. Yet the farther she gets from home, the more she learns that nothing is as it seems. Not her fearsome captor, not the blight that raves in a dying realm, not even herself. For Raya is no ordinary halfling. They never are. The strange birthmark on her chest and the wind she instantly calls forth means she is a remnant, one of the 4 souls scattered across Envy, fated to restore the balance of magic or die trying. But mastering the power inside her is only the beginning. Desire for the commander, a man she can never trust. A man with plans of his own, burns just as fiercely as the tempest beating against her ribcage for release. I don't know, I just really love a romance story where like our main heroine is being saved by a man and they try to save her, they take her away, and the idea that he's even more dangerous than the ones who wanted to execute her. I don't know, that just kind of made my day. It just sounds so interesting that I actually have this on my radar to even might be a pre-order. I'm going to check the price, so I might pre-order it or maybe like pre-order the ebook, but it just sounds really interesting. It might be something that I could really enjoy. I really hope so because I love the covers so much. And then another one that's going to be released in April is the God's Time Forgets by Kelsie, Sheridan, Gonzalez. I kind of like the cover, but this was definitely not a cover pick for me. It really was because it just sounded really interesting. Manhattan 1870. Rua knows only 2 things, her name and that she has no memories. So when the wealthy Harrington family mistakes Rua for their missing daughter Emma, Rua goes along with it, hoping for answers about who she really is. As she tries to blend into the society she doesn't remember, she's drawn to a firmly off-limits the Lord of Donor, a newcomer to Manhattan society who's somehow familiar to Rua. Finn is new in the side of Atlantic and knows that the best way to fit in as Lord of Donor is to make friends in high places and play by the rules of society. He knows he shouldn't become involved with mysterious, recently missing debutantes, but he's intrigued by Emma Harrington, and Finn has an uncanny feeling that this isn't the first time they have met. I just really love the idea of a romance story where like the main characters probably have met previously in their past life, but they don't remember anymore, and I really am intrigued by the idea that she has no memories. So yeah, that was kind of like the synopsis part that I read that just made me be like, yeah, this is one of the books that I'm going to keep my eyes on because it sounds really interesting. It sounds like a romance story that I might actually will enjoy. Mentioned as a fantasy romance historical fiction on Goodreads. So it probably is also going to be a little bit more historical heavy, and I really love the idea of historical places being entwined with fantasy. There's not a lot of fantasy going on in the synopsis, it is more focused on the romance, but yeah, it just sounds really interesting to me, so I'm really looking forward to this one as well. Then we actually come to one of the books I'm really excited about as well, and that is actually a book that belongs with the Lore Olympus graphic novel series, and I actually have all 6 over here. I do not own the 7th one yet. I still have to buy that one, which I will do very, very soon because I really want to continue that series so much. And I love Lore Olympus. I am a huge fan. I love all these books so far. I feel they're like all 5-star reads for me, and I just really love the story. It's like one big story in multiple books like spread out. There's no end to the story until you probably read the last one. And volume 8 is going to be released on the 6th of May. I'm not going to pre-order this one because they're always very pricey when they are very first released. And then like after 6 months or so, the price goes down significantly. So I am actually waiting. That's one of the reasons why I haven't bought the 7th one yet. I think it came out in either September or October. and the price was at the beginning 34, 35 euros, and right now it's like 27. So yeah, I'm probably going to order it very, very soon, but I can't wait for the number 8 as well, because I love the story. It's a story about the romance of Hades and Persephone, and it is like set in this dystopian modern world. Like, it is not set back in ancient Greece. It is more of a modern world feeling, so it feels a little bit dystopian as well as in some parts, because it also, even though it feels very modern, the technology and everything they have feels a little bit more advanced than the technology we actually have. One of the things that I really enjoy about this story is how slowly their romance is being built up, and how slowly that kind of like involves throughout the rest of the books. I really love that in this series we get a lot of insight into the other characters like Hera, Zeus, but also in Apollo and other characters. We get like a lot of other characters that have like their own little storylines going on as well, that I really love and really enjoy reading about. And to be quite honest, when I first picked this one up, the first book, volume 1, I did not enjoy the drawing as much, but however they kind of like grew on me. I really enjoy the drawings more and more in each novel. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to see how the story is going to end. I'm not entirely sure how many there are going to be published. I know this is going to be a hit. I'm not going to read it as soon as it's being released. I might actually read it towards the end of the year, like after the price goes down a little bit. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to this one too. Then another one that is on my radar is going to be The Night and Moth by Rachel Gillig. I never read anything by Rachel Gillig, and this is going to be the first book in the Stonewater Kingdom series. But however, to be honest, the cover really made me pay attention to this book. It looks really, really pretty, and this is a book that I'm going to pick up after I have read One Dark Window, which I'm actually currently reading as well while filming this video. But if I like that one, I might actually pick it up as soon as it's being released. So it kind of like depends how I feel about Rachel Gillig's writing in One Dark Window. And so far I am enjoying it, so hopefully I'm going to pick this one up. What it says is that Sybil Delling has spent 9 years dreaming of having no dreams at all. Like the other foundling girls who traded a decade of service for a home in the great cathedral, Sybil is a diviner. In her dreams she receives visions from 6 unearthly figures known as omens. From them she can predict terrible things before they occur, and lords and common folk alike travel across the kingdom of Trauns, winds-wept moors, to learn their future by her dreams. Just as she and her sister diviners near the end of their service, a mysterious knight arrives at the cathedral. Rude, heretical, and devilishly handsome, the knight Roderick has no respect for Sybil's visions. But when Sybil's fellow diviners begin to vanish one by one, she has no choice but to seek his help in finding them, for the world outside the cathedral cloister is wrought with peril. Only the gods have the answer she's seeking, and as much as she's ready to avoid Roderick's dark eyes and sharp tongue, only a heretic can defeat a god. I don't know, but the romance just, again, sounds really interesting to me. I kind of like the idea of him being a little bit against the things that she does. I like the idea of her being a diviner, being able to dream about the future and about everything that's going to happen. I like that idea, and I really like the idea of him being someone who is completely against it, but then slowly, probably they're going to slowly get friendly towards each other, become friends, and their relationship will probably evolve into more, especially since it is a fantasy romance. I do not, however, expect the romance to be like completely developed in the first book. The development probably will go through to the rest of the series, but yeah. It just sounds really interesting. I love the cover, and it sounds as something that I haven't read before. So that was one of the reasons why I put this on this list. Then another book, the last one that is being published in May, is actually A Fate Forged in Fire. It's the first book in the Bonded to Beast series by Hazel McBride. And this book, to be honest, it was not the cover that caught my eye. It just sounds really interesting. And Hazel McBride sounded as a name that was familiar to me. So that was one of the reasons why I actually clicked on it, and then I read the synopsis and it just sounded really interesting. Once a territory built on matriarchal rule and values, Tyrtine has since grown frail from a long line of fruitless kings, the most recent of which have ruled under the influence of true religion, an oppressive group who have steadily poisoned the region with their anti-magic teachings. Born to rule and blessed by fire, Amilia has lived in hiding, waited and risked her life in court, waiting in anticipation for the current king's death so she can bond to his dragon, claim her throne and protect her people. But when the king dies, Amilia is ready to take what is rightfully hers. Her ambitious plan is foiled, and she is thrust into a game of fictitious politics and plots. Again, this is also a romantasy book as well. A lot of romantasy book actually on this list. I thought it was more fantasy than romantasy, but no, they're all fantasy books with romance included, so I might be right about that. But a couple of things that really caught my eye, and one of the reasons why I want to keep my eye on this one and see how this is going to go after it's being released, is the dragons, the politics, and the idea that it's going to be like this vicious court and that there's going to be a lot of political scheming and things like that. A lot of plots against the throne. It's just something that I really enjoy, and that's one of the reasons that it really got my attention. I like the idea that this also has like a romance included, but the idea of it also having dragons is something that just sounded really, really cool to me. So that's one of the reasons why I put it on this list. Then the last book that is actually going to be published in June that I'm really excited for is a book by V.E. Schwab, Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil. And one of the reasons why this actually got my attention is very simple, like listen to this. 3 young women, their bodies planted in same soil, their stories tangling like roots. One grows high and one grows deep and one grows wild, and all of them grow teeth. Because it is a vampire story, and it just sounds, it's just like those 3 little lines. That's all that there actually is to say on Goodreads. Like there's nothing more included except those 3 lines. And somehow, I don't know, it just sounds intriguing, it sounds interesting, it has vampires. And I don't know about you guys, but I really like stories about vampires. So I am hyped for this one. Definitely going to keep my eyes on it. It sounds interesting. I have not read a lot from E.V.E. Schwab. I have read like, I don't know what's called the series, but like one of her most famous series that came out like years ago, Darker Shade of Magic. I read that, but nothing else by her. But this one just sounds really intriguing. And as I said, I really like stories about vampires, so I really love the idea of them being included a little bit more into the new books that are being released. So that's one of the reasons why I'm really excited for this one as well. I really hope it does very well. And this is being released on the 10th of June. So that like are all the books that I'm really excited for 2025, for the first half of the year. I feel there are like so many amazing stories coming out this year that I'm just, I don't know, I'm really hyped for it, and I'm going to keep my eye on a couple of them as well, and I really hope that I might buy them or pick them up while the year continues. So let me know what you thought about all the books that I mentioned, and I would love to know what book you're really looking forward to that's being published in 2025. So this was everything we're going to discuss today. Next week I'm going to upload my reading journal setup. I know I said I was going to do that today, but I haven't finished it yet. It takes so much time. I'm way too slow with trying to build up my reading journal. So I'm still not really know how I am going to show it to you guys, but I will next week. And I love to chat with you guys in the comment section, and see you guys next week with another video. See you then. Have a nice weekend. Bye bye.